Good day and welcome back to Canadian Formal. On today's episode, we will be doing a review and restoration on a beautiful pair of Canali desert boots. So stay tuned. Good day and welcome back to Canadian Formal. I'm Curtis Allen and I have a passion for making the men of the Great White North look and feel their very best. So today's episode is all about a beautiful vintage pair of Canali desert boots I recently acquired. And we have done videos on boot restorations before, specifically a Cole Haan pair of beautiful blue and gray leather boots. So that video will be linked in the description. Do like and subscribe if you haven't already, and ring the bell icon so you do get notified of any upcoming videos. We release videos every Friday, so do be aware of that. So let's get down to business and take a look at these Canali boots. Now, I know it is in a little bit of rough shape right now, but this boot is the Cinderella of boots. It doesn't look wonderful at the beginning, but with a little bit of magic, we will have it being the belle of the ball. So, enough talking, let's get down to cleaning up these boots. Okay, so here we are with the Canali desert boot. Look at that beautiful tan kind of camel color. We will be doing quite a bit with the color of these boots. So the first thing you want to do is take out these horrible laces. This doesn't even look like a lace. It looks like just a piece of rope. And they've tied little knots on the end so it doesn't come out. But you know what? We're going to get it out anyway. Grab yourself a nice pair of shears here, and let's cut these right out because we don't want anything to do with these horrible laces. So we will toss them aside. Now I have already taken a bit of Lysol and disinfected the inside and outside of these boots. So that has already been done. This is all about conditioning, polishing, protecting. So let's get down to that, because these Canali boots, Canali is a wonderful fashion house out of Italy. If I were to compare it, it would be similar to Zegna, but a little bit more formal. I look at it as the old Valentino, when Valentino was still alive and running the show there. Understated, formal, but very well fitting, very polished, very well put together. And that's because the brothers who started Canali, one was a fabric maker, the other was a tailor, and that was back in 1934, and that has been passed down through generations. So you still have that old Italian craftsmanship that some of the fashion houses, I won't name names, but some of the fashion houses have not stuck with that and have gone more extreme with their vision, which is fine, and there's a place for it. But if you want some great staples in your closet, Canali is a great brand to start with. So let's start. Let's get a shoe tree in here. Grab a shoe tree. I just got a plastic one here. Pop that in. It is adjustable, the shoe tree. So depending on the style of shoes, some brands will fit differently, so you may want to go up or down half a size. These are a 10 or a 43 European, which is perfect for me, and these fit true to size. So now that we've got that shoe tree in, you want to keep the shoe tree in if you're not wearing the shoes, and that is to keep the vamp, which is just in front of the toe box there, the vamp from cracking, wrinkling, And another way to keep the leather from cracking is to condition it. So let's start the conditioning process here. So we're going to look through and see if there are any really bad scuffs or marks along the leather. See if the stitching is frayed at all or coming out in any places. This boot has a rubber sole, which a lot of boots like this will either have a gum sole or will have a leather sole. I like the fact that they've gone rubber, a little bit of a darker color than the actual boot, and I think that really helps with durability. One thing to keep in mind, it is a cemented sole, which means it's not going to be able to be resoled. Once you wear out the sole of this shoe, it's over. You're done. Not like a Goodyear welt or even a Blake stitch or a hand welt for that matter. But it is really good quality leather. You can tell just by feeling it. Whoever had it before me has worn down a couple of these little pads, but not in any significant way. So these still have a lot of life left in them, which is why it's worth conditioning, putting in the work to get these looking their very best. So we are going to start with Saphir Renovateur, speaking of the best, and we will take a little dab of that. This is a conditioner, so it is going to rehydrate the leather. Something very important, especially with light color leathers. You want to dab this and work it in as quickly as possible. If you leave it on the leather too long, it'll be like if you leave a wet glass on a tabletop without a coaster. It'll leave little rings. We don't want that. So a little bit of dabbing and working it in right away. So we work in the vamp and the toe first. Really work on that toe because that is the area with the most wear. So I like to section it off by the stitches. So you can see the areas and the segments, as I like to call them, in between the stitched areas. So you make sure you don't miss anywhere. And you work it right up against that rubber sole. Don't worry about getting a little bit on the sole, that's fine. It's more important that you are able to work it into every little nook and cranny. So I like to work one side at a time, work up by the shoelaces there, up and around towards the heel cap. And there's a beautiful piece of leather with some padding up at the top to give a little bit of comfort along the ankle. So we're going to do that. We're going to work at the back, and I like to have the shoe tree in but also my hand in so I can stretch out any little areas to make sure that the Renovateur gets in to all those little creases. So we have that, and we'll work along this way. Now this is only going to take a few minutes. You just want to make sure it's hydrated. You want to make sure that there's no threat of any additional cracking there. So you do this with the outside, not the inside of the shoe. The only area I'm going to do a little bit of the inside is the tongue. So, and that's because that's where a lot of wrinkling is, on the outside and inside of the tongue. But you just want to use little dabs of the Renovateur at a time. So we've got this here, and just work in just a little bit. And it will change the color ever so slightly, but that's okay. Once it dries and absorbs into the leather, it will lighten up a little bit. So we've done that main area. There are a couple small areas, the toe box there, and along the side where the where the baby toe would be, it leaves a little bit of a mark there. So work it all the way across. Make sure you hit those threads as well, where the stitching is. You want to keep them hydrated so they don't get brittle over time. So that is step 1 done. We leave that to dry for a little bit, and then we come into step 2, which is a little bit of polish. I have a liquid polish here, a kiwi light brown, and you can certainly go with a dark brown. It will change the color significantly if you do, but this is a color of leather that you can do that with. You can really alter the color if you like. I am going to alter the color slightly with a light brown. The natural color is a tan, so we're definitely going darker than that. So we work along the toe. You can do a neutral polish if you want. Now this has a little sponge applicator, and that is for working it in, but we will have a brush to do the real polishing, to really get everything worked in evenly. That is the key. You want everything to be even. So you want to get the polish on there, get it worked in, and then we will go in with the brush. So again, this is just going to take a few minutes. If you have some time, take some time, because the longer you take, the more you can really get it exactly the way you want it. But do remember that the brush is going to do a lot of the work, so don't panic if the applicator is not working. I like a liquid polish for casual shoes, and for formal shoes I go liquid and wax, because the wax adds a bit of protection, but we will have our own protection for these boots, and we will get to that in a little bit. That is something you want to keep in mind. So don't forget up near the laces, don't miss anything along the top where the ankle is. Really work it in, and then up into the tongue, all along there. Again, if you get it on the stitches, that's fine. It will change the color of the stitches a little bit, just like it does with the leather. So, if anything, it'll help blend the stitching in with the new color of the shoe. Or the new shade, rather, not really even a new color. So we've got that. That is done. So let's move on to the real polishing work, and that is with this M&B boar's hair brush. So the brushing is all going to go towards the toe. We want to work everything towards the toe. You want to sweep in the same direction so you're not in any threat of hurting the leather or leaving any marks on the leather that you don't want to be there. So if there is some area of wrinkling, just put your hand in there, stretch it out a little bit, and then work the brush. Oops. So there we go. Done. So the next thing to do is to put a little protection on this. So I have, again from M&B, this Protex Nano water and stain protector, and it works with all sorts of leather. So give it a little shake. Now it does have a bit of an odor because it's an aerosol can, so if you want to do it outside, certainly appropriate. But let's do a quick little spray. Again, this will look like it's affecting the color. It won't really. Once it dries, you'll see that it doesn't really affect the leather color that much at all. So the main thing is that you're just protecting the shoe. Give it a little spritz, and you only need to do this once. So once it's done, it's done. So you don't want to miss any spots, that's for sure. Get that done. Leave it to dry. You can also do the same thing you did with the polish and take a brush and just give it a little brush so that it evens out. So if there's any little drips or blotchy areas, you can kind of even that out a little bit. It's like you just want to get a clean sweep and not have any streaks of any kind. But you still get that protection, which makes it great for wearing in the fall. You don't have to worry. The water will just beat up and roll away. It won't get your feet all wet, so you don't have to worry about that. So once it's all brushed and dried, we get out our little cotton waxed lace and we pull that through. Even just a very basic cross threading of the laces. At each point though, you want to make sure it's relatively even. So this is pretty simple because there's only 3 eyelets. So that is done. Put a little bow in it and you are all set to go. So that is finished, and we are finished with this week's episode. So I hope you have enjoyed. I'm Curtis Allen with Canadian Formal, hoping you will stay stylish.